Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhi Tamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. We are now studying the commentary of Bhagavad-pada Shankaracharya on the first sutra, Athato Brahma Jigyasa of the Brahma Sutras. So here there is this objection by Mimamsaka. Why don't you take Brahma or Brahman to be in the residual meaning instead of making it the object of the verb, the desire to know. So that is the objection. And Shankaracharya is holding that the verb jigyasa, it will have the object of Brahman. And why it is? Because it is a quite straightforward approach. It's quite straightforward. And one need not go roundabout to have the secondary meaning of Brahman being the object of the verb jigyasa. Because directly it is meant like that. And further, Shankaracharya is giving another argument for this. He is saying, Shruti anugamatcha. Anugamat because it follows or it is in consonance or conformity with what is being told by Shruti. Shruti anugamatcha. Shruti anugamatcha. So what is told by Shruti, it follows that. So that is why we can safely take that meaning instead of taking this roundabout approach. How does Shruti follow this thing? Now, what is the contention here? The contention is the word Brahma, has it to be taken as the object of the verb jigyasa. In Athato Brahma Jigyasa, whether the object of the verb jigyasa will be Brahman, or because it is Shashti, sixth case ending, Shashti Vibhakti, so whether we should take some other meaning, that is Shesha or residual meaning, residual relation meaning, whether we have to take that, and also as a secondary meaning, take among one of the meanings, take the meaning of Brahman being the object of the verb jigyasa. That is the contention here. So that Shankaracharya is not accepting. He is saying, no, we will consider Brahman, as the object of the verb jigyasa. We will consider that. We will not do anything else. So he says, because it is also supported by the Shrutis. It is also supported by the Shrutis. How is it supported by the Shrutis? Yato va imani bhutani jayante ityadyaha shrutayaha tad vijigyasasva tad brahma iti pratyakshameva brahmano jigyasa karmatvam darshayanti. Quite simple. In the Taittiriya Upanishad, there is a stanza, there is a paragraph which says, Yato va imani bhutani jayante. It starts like this, from which all these living beings come. Ityadyaha, like that, starting with these words. Shrutayaha, the Shrutis, or the passages from the Vedas, tad vijigyasasva, know that know that tat vijignyasasva. So you desire to know that. That means Brahman. So you want to know that. You desire to know that. Tad Brahma, that is Brahman, that Brahma. Iti, in this manner, pratyakshameva, quite directly, Brahmano jigyasa karmatvam darshayanti. They are showing the fact that Brahman is the object of the verb jigyasa. Brahman is the object of the desire to know. So it is quite openly told, very clearly, directly told. And there is no confusion about it. Tad vijigyasasva, you desire to know that. Tad Brahma. So what is Tad? What is that? That is Brahman. So that Brahman you desire to know. It is very clear here. The Upanishads are clear. The Taittiriya Upanishad is very clear here. So jigyasasva, you desire to know. What should you desire to know? Tat Brahman. Tad Brahma. That Brahman. So the Tat or that is very clearly defined. There is no scope of any ambiguity or confusion. When there is no scope of any ambiguity, why do you want to introduce ambiguity by saying that here we have to take it as Shesha Sheshi Sambandha. We have to take it in the relationship of residuality. In that sense, we have to take. So that means one among various alternatives. So that we have to take that meaning. Why should we take that meaning? When the Taittiriya Upanishad is quite clear, Tad Brahma, Tad Vijigyasasva, that you desire to know, that is Brahman. It's quite clear here. Yatova imani bhutani jayante. And also that paragraph or that passage starts with this, from which all these living beings arise. So that from which all these living beings arise, we know for certain that that is Brahman. And towards the end of the passage also, even if there is any chance of our getting confused, towards the end of the passage also, it is again pointed out, Tad Vijigyasasva, know that from which all these living beings arise. And Tat Brahma. Again, it is clarified that that is Brahman. So there is no confusion. Any kind of confusion cannot be there. And so it is very pratyaksha, very direct, very clear. Then why do you want to bring Tacha Karmani Shashti Parigrahe Sutrena Anugatam Bhavati? And the Tacha means the same thing. The same thing means Brahman being the object of the desire to know. The same thing, Karmani, in the sense of object. Shashti Parigrahe, if we take the sixth vibhakti, Shashti vibhakti, if we take the sixth case ending, then Sutrena Anugatam Bhavati. That is also followed by the sutra, Athato Brahma Jigyasa. Here if we apply the sixth case ending, then the sutra also makes the same meaning, that the object of the desire to know is Brahman. And that meaning conforms to what is already available in the Shruti. So whenever there is a conflict between Shruti and Smriti, you go by Shruti. Whenever there is a conflict between what is apaurushaya, means that which has not been told by a particular person, it is eternal truth, that is the Vedas. When there is a conflict between the Vedas and what has been thought about and written, that is Smriti. From Smarana, that which came, so Smriti, from that which came from memory. When there is a conflict between these two, go always by what is told in the Shruti. So here, there is no conflict. So we will have to align what is written in the Sutra, which is Smriti, because it has been written. We will have to align that with what is told in the Shruti. We will have to align it. So definitely this has to be conforming or in consonance with what is told in the Shruti. And in the Shruti, it is clearly said that tad vijignyasasva, you desire to know, and that is Brahman. It's quite clear in Shruti. And since it is quite clear in the Shruti, we have to follow that meaning. We have to follow that meaning. So, Shashti Parigrahe, if we follow the sixth case ending, then even Sutra Anugatam Bhavati. Even the Sutra also, Athato Brahma Jigyasa, that conforms to what is told by the scriptures, that is Shruti. Then he says, Tasmat, therefore, Brahmana iti karmani shashti. Therefore, the Brahmana, the sixth case ending of the word Brahmana is karmani shashti, karmani in the sense of object, in the sense of object. So it is very simple. We have to take the sense of the object and not any other sense. That is what Shankaracharya says here. Then he, now the confusion. First, what was Atha, then what is Atah, then Brahma, then whether it is Brahma or whether it is something else. What is the connection between Brahma and Jigyasa? Now it is very clear that Jigyasa is connected to Brahma because Jigyasa, the object of Jigyasa is Brahma. The object of the desire to know is Brahma. So all these things have been now clarified. Now Shankaracharya goes further and he tries to understand or tries to make us understand the meaning of the word Jigyasa. What is the meaning of the word Jigyasa? He says, Jnatum Ichha Jigyasa. Very simple. The Ichha, desire, to Jnatum, to know, is Jigyasa. The desire to know is Jigyasa. Jnatum Ichha Jigyasa. But here it is not any desire. It is the desire to know Brahman. Brahma Jigyasa. So there is a difference, big difference. But Jigyasa itself means Jnatum Ichha, the desire to know. That is Jigyasa. Avagati Paryantam Jnanam Sanvachyayaha Ichhayaha Karma. Phala Vishayatvad Ichhayaha. Avagati Paryantam. Paryantam, ending in. Ending in. So, ending in realization. That is what Avagati Paryantam Jnanam Sanvachyayaha Ichhaya Karma. Karma, the object of that Ichha, desire here, of knowing, the desire to know, it culminates or ends or results in realization. Avagati, understanding or realization. So this Jnatum Ichha Jigyasa, this Jigyasa, this desire to know, this ends in the knowledge. Ends in knowledge. If you have desire to know, how will it end? It will end in you getting knowledge. Avagati, understanding or realization. You have to understand it. So, Avagati Paryantam means that is the end. That is where it culminates. Avagati Paryantam Jnanam Sanvachyayaha Ichhayaha Karma. So, there is this suffix, san, which is how this Jigyasa word has been derived. So that word, that is the object of the desire, that is object of the desire, which is understood by the suffix san. That is what Phala Vishayatvat Ichhayaha. Because object of desire, Ichhayaha, the object of desire, that karma, Phala Vishayatvat, that is fruit. Fruit alone is the object of desire. Fruit alone is the object of desire. So if you have any desire, whatever you desire, that has to be fructified, that has to be achieved. So if you desire to say study the Brahma Sutras, that desire has to be achieved. It has to be attained. That is the object of desire. If it is not attained, then the desire is not completed. No desire can be completed unless the fruit of the desire has been attained. If you want to go during Corona time, you want to go to a particular city in India. So what do? You go to some place and you go to a medical pathology lab and you do this RT-PCR test. It has to be done within 72 hours and you take a report and you go there and you get some pass to enter into another state, etc. Because of your desire. It may be not just desire, it may be some emergency also. But that leads to this desire of your wanting to go to a place during Corona time. Now you want to go. So what you do? You get all these tests, you get all the pass, everything, and you land at that place. And also, of course, the test should be negative. Okay. Negative, the word negative has caused so much happiness only now. And negative, everybody when they hear negative, they are so happy. Oh, negative, negative. So that desire will be culminated, or that desire will be satisfied only when you actually land up in that place. Going through all these processes, all this procedure, you land up in that place, and then that is the fruit of your desire. Similarly, if Brahma Jigyasa is the desire, then this Brahma Jigyasa or whatever Jigyasa, because that San Pratyaya, Pratyaya, yes, San Pratyaya, because it is that San Vachya, that suffix, it is there, San Pratyaya, suffix San, that ensures that it is something which you want to actually achieve. So, Phala Vishayatvat Ichhayaha. Phala is the object. Fruit is the object of desire. Whatever fruit you want to achieve, that fruit is the object of desire. And so, it culminates only in knowledge. Jigyasa, that is the desire to know. If we will say something else, bubuksha, say, desire to eat. So, desire to eat will culminate only when you have actually eaten. Pipasa, desire to quench your thirst. So, that drink, so that will go away only when you have quenched your thirst, when you have actually drunk something. Then your desire to drink will go away. So, similarly, here, desire to know, jnatum ichha jigyasa, that will go away only when you get avagati, when you get understanding. Avagati paryantam jnanam. So, this knowledge, till you understand that knowledge or realize that knowledge, this object of desire is not fulfilled. Jnanena hi pramanena avagantum ishtam brahma. So, jnanena hi, indeed, he means indeed. It is by knowledge. Jnanena hi. Pramanena. Pramana means valid means of knowledge. We know there are 6 pramanas: Pratyaksha, Anumana, Upamana, Anupalabdhi, Arthapatti, and Shabda Pramana. All these 6 pramanas are there, and 6 means of valid knowledge. So it's only through valid means of knowledge that Brahma avagantum ishtam, that Brahman is desired to be known. How is that? At least there is one Shabda. Shabda means authority, verbal testimony. So, Apta Vakya or Shabda, that means some authoritative statement. So, Shruti says that you have to know Brahman. Shruti, Vedas say that you have to know Brahman. So, that is the authority. That is the valid means of knowledge. We have heard that Vedas, that statement we have heard. And we have also inferred the presence of Atman through various life experiences. We have done inference, anumana. Like that, using many of the valid means of knowledge, we come to the conclusion that yes, we have to understand this Brahman, whatever it is. You call it by the name God, you call it Ishvara, whatever you call it by, whatever name you call it by, you have come to this conclusion that there is something there, some X factor is there. That X factor we have to understand. Whether it is XYZ, whatever it is, that we have to understand. Because unless we understand that, we will not be able to get rid of suffering. We will not be able to get rid of suffering. Suffering is a ring which you cannot get rid of. You can get rid of so many rings, but suffering is, it comes, keeps on coming in a vicious circular manner. So that cannot be gotten rid of unless you know Brahman. So this desire to know Brahman is indeed pramanena. It is jnanena, through knowledge obtained by means of valid means of knowledge. Avagantum ishtam Brahma. This Brahman has become the desire of our knowledge. Means we have got the desire to know Brahman only by knowledge, which has been attained through valid means of knowledge. But this knowledge which we have attained itself will not directly lead to the knowledge of Brahman. It will only help us. It will only help us to attain the knowledge of Brahman. That itself, none of the 6 valid means of knowledge will lead us to the knowledge of Brahman. That is the beauty. Even Shruti itself says, there is no other text in the whole world, no other religious text in the whole world, which says that it is useless to read the religious text to attain knowledge, means ultimate knowledge. Only Vedas are so bold to say, just reading the Vedas will not give you the knowledge of Atman or Brahman. So Swamiji talks about this, Swami Vivekananda talks about it, that Vedas are so bold that they say that no, reading these Vedas itself, you will not get any knowledge. So, but we come to know about the existence of Brahman or about the possibility of such a knowledge only through the Vedas. Then Shankaracharya says, Brahma avagatihi purushartha. You see, Shankaracharya has very clearly in 2 words he has said, Brahma avagatirhi purushartha. Purushartha means the goal of human life. So Purushartha here does not mean the 4 Purusharthas like Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. Here it just means Purusha Artha, means the goal of human life, life goal of a human being. That is what it means. Brahma avagatihi. Indeed, it is the knowledge of Brahman which is the goal of human life. What did Sri Ramakrishna say? Sri Ramakrishna said, God realization is the goal of human life. So that is what is told by Shankaracharya here. Brahma avagatir hi purushartha. In fact, only by knowing Brahman or only by knowing Atman or God do we justify our human condition. We justify our being human beings only by knowing Brahman. For example, long ago, one incident means I was traveling in a car. This car, as most of the taxis nowadays in India is, you might have rightly guessed, this was Swift Desire. Okay. So Swift Desire, they introduced this vehicle so that it will be very nice, etc. Now only taxis use that. So no person who wants to use a car in his home wants to buy Swift Desire because it has got this taxi look suddenly. So I was traveling in this Swift Desire, which was arranged by the person who had, or the organization which had invited me to give a talk. And just in front of me, there was this Mercedes C-Class car going in front of me. Those of you who know what is C-Class, other people do Google Namaha. Okay. C class was going. I think it was C5 or something with 2 exhaust pipes and a fancy car. Okay. And there was a comparatively older person sitting by the side of the driver. And the driver was a young person. By the looks of it, we could guess that they are probably father and son. And that person was going in such a speed, at such a speed, that this Swift Desire in no time overtook him. This is supposed to be like sports car, this Mercedes C something. It was a sports version. And it has got all that vroom sound it makes, and that it is fully equipped. Means it costs several crores or something like that. So it's a huge car. There are so many classes in C series, but this is something else. And that fellow was driving it at 40 km/h speed on a highway, which was completely free. Means there were no cars or vehicles in front of him. He was driving it, and that too a young man was driving it at 40 km/h. So I told the person who was driving the car in which I was traveling that we should get down and get the car, snatch away the car from him and give him this car, because he doesn't deserve to have that car, because he's not utilizing that car for what it is meant to be utilized for. The hardware is not being properly utilized. The machinery is not being properly utilized. Similarly, unless you realize Brahman, you have not utilized the faculties which have been given to you as a human being. You have got so much machinery. You have got so much of hardware and software. Neither the hardware nor the software you are using, if you don't realize your state of being Atman or Brahman. So that is why Purushartha, the goal of human life, is realizing Brahman. Otherwise, there is no point in your becoming such a complicated species. What is the point in giving you so much of machinery, so much of neurological power, so much of physical, you may say, oh, we don't have so much physical power like elephant. But you have the combination of so many physical faculties. You have the fingers, you have the thumb, you have the straight spinal cord and all that. So many things have been given to you, and you have been given an extraordinarily accomplished brain. For what? If you were to do the same thing as pigs also do, ahara, nidra, maithuna, procreation, sleep and food. If one were to do only that, then why should we get so much of hardware and software? There's no point. So better to snatch away that hardware and software and give the hardware and software of pig. Because roti, kapda and makan, food, shelter and clothing, that they are also running after. Human beings are also running. Homo sapiens are also running after. So that is why if we have to justify our being human beings, we have to realize Brahman. We have to realize that principle or that state which is beyond this body, mind, prana, intellect and ananda, maya kosha. All these 5 sheets we have to transcend. Otherwise, we don't justify being in this machinery. That is the point. We have been given so much that unless we transcend it and understand that there is something which is beyond this, which is the cause of the functioning of the entire universe, not just this body-mind mechanism, but the entire universe, unless we realize that, we don't justify our being a human being. And that is why Purushartha, the goal of human life, is Brahma Avagatihi. Brahma Avagati. Brahma Avagati, or the knowledge of Brahman, realization of Brahman, call it God realization or self-realization, is the goal of human life. That is the only goal of human life. Only when we realize Brahman, or only when we take it as a goal, fix it as a goal of our life, only then we truly are settled as human beings. Because parents are so worked up to settle, somehow they have to settle their kids. They get one education, then get some spouse, and then they get so much problems in their kids' life. Then they're like, my sons are now settled, Swamiji. They are all very settled. Actually, you unsettled them. So that settlement problem, you are unsettled and you are very happy because the sadistic mentality. I also suffered, you also suffer. Because as we know, the famous serial, Kyunki Saas Bhi Kabhi Bahu Thi, because mother-in-law also was sometimes daughter-in-law. So passing on the compliments. I also suffered, you also suffered. That kind of a thing happens, not understanding that this life is meant for realizing what we are beyond these three states of consciousness: waking, dreaming, and deep sleep. Only then we really can justify ourselves to have been human beings. Otherwise, we are simply wasting our time and all other people's time. So that is why, what is Brahma Avagatihi? Nishesha Sansara Bija Avidyadi Anartha Nirbahanat. Why? Why should a person, Purusha, why should a human being, a person, Purusha, I will repeat, does not mean a man. Purusha does not mean man. Purusha means one who is in the embodied state. Puri. Navadware Pure Dehi. So one who is in the Puri, that person is Purusha, embodied human being. So human being, why should a human being have the goal of attaining Brahman? Because Nirbahanat, because it removes, destroys. Because it destroys. What destroys? What is destroyed? Anartha. Anartha. Anartha means danger or evil. The danger or evil is destroyed. Danger and evil of what? Danger or evil of what? Sansara bija avidya. Avidya. That which was talked of by Shankaracharya in his introduction to the commentary on Brahma Sutras, Adhyasa Bhashya, Avidya, Adhyasa, Maya, Ajnana, that, call it by any of these names, it means the same thing. Avidya, Ajnana, Maya, Adhyasa. That is what? Sansara Bija. It is the seed of this universe. Just like a small seed gives rise to a huge banyan tree. Similarly, a small seed, which we cannot even see, gives rise to this entire universe. So that is the problem. That there lies the problem. The avidya is the problem. Avidya is the problem. So because avidya is the problem, that avidya will be nishesha nirbahanat. Because that avidya will be nishesha, completely destroyed. Nirbahana. Completely it will be destroyed. And if the seed of this universe is completely destroyed, obviously the tree of the universe will not be there. Seed will be destroyed. The universe also will be destroyed. And universe only creates suffering. Suffering also will be destroyed. Anityam asukham lokam imam prapya bhajasvamam. So you have come to this human condition, which is anitya, which is unreal. Asukha, which gives suffering. Loka, universe. You have come to this universe. Samsara, this transmigratory existence. Again and again taking birth, again and again dying. You are doing kalakshepa. You are just passing your time here. Simply dying and taking birth and dying. So many people you are giving job maybe, because the person who is taking, helping in your birth, and also person who is taking care of you when you are ill and about to die. All these people are being employed, but they are also doing only kalakshepa. It's only time waste, passing your time, unless you understand that anityam asukham lokam. This world is unreal. It is a miserable existence. It's a miserable existence. It is an existence where there is only misery. People are quite unaware of the miserable existence. It's only misery. And so if you come here, then why are you put here? Because you have to realize imam prapya, mam bhajasva, you pray to me. That's to a devotee. Shri Krishna says, Lord says, to a jnani, It says, Vijignyasasva. You will desire to know. It's your desire to know. What? Brahma. You know, Brahma, you know Brahman, know the ultimate truth. And if you know the ultimate truth, then the entire loka will disappear. Because the seed is not there, the whole universe will go away. The problem of misery will go away. Tasmat, therefore, Brahman jigyasitavyam. So Tavyam means it should be known. Tavya means it is a conditional pratyaya, Tavya pratyaya. So the Brahman should be known. Tasmat Brahman should be known. Why should we know Brahman? Because it removes us, it takes away from us misery. It removes us from the miserable condition and brings us back to our sadharana, swabhavika, natural state. What is natural state? Without any misery, without any other. Brihadaranyaka Upanishad says, Dvitiyat vai bhayam bhavati. Dvitiyat, because of the other, there is fear. Fear is there because the other is there. Dvitiyat. Duality causes fear. Duality means the other. When we perceive the other, there is fear. When you don't perceive other, then there is no fear. Sometimes even if you are perceiving the other is only your own reflection. Suppose you are getting up from sleep and immediately going in front of your mirror also, you may be afraid that that particular horrible image you might not be able to withstand. But that is also because you are seeing the other, which is your own reflection. But wrong reflection. It is not the reflection of Satchitananda. It's the reflection of this petty, puny, bodily existence. That is why there is fear. So whenever you acknowledge or experience or perceive the other, there is not just fear. All the entire array of human emotions come there. The entire human emotions. Love, hatred, jealousy, anger, all kinds of things will come when you see the other. So what is the best thing to do? Know that there is no other. Simple. In fact, there is no other. It is something which you have sankalpa, you have just created, you have thought, you have posited. There is no other. And that's why Brahma jigyasitavyam. You have to know Brahma because ekam eva advitiyam. Brahman is only one without any other, without any second. Without any second means there is no other. Brahman. So you have to other the other. There is usually when we see someone other than us, we are doing what is called othering. There is also one ring is there, suffering, othering. Because of othering, there is suffering. So similarly, what you have to do, you have to remove this othering. We have to one has to completely give up the idea that there is other. And how can one do that? When one knows oneself, one knows that there is no other. And that is why that oneself is only called as Atman, also called as Brahman. So one has to understand Atman and Brahman. So one has to have the desire to know Atman or Brahman. That is why Tasma, therefore, Brahma Vijignyasitavyam or Jigyasitavyam. Brahman has to be known. Now, here again, there is an objection. What is an objection? The objection is, see, I have been hearing for such a long time, you are saying Brahma Jigyasa. And though I tried to discourage you from taking Brahman to be the object of the desire to know, taking Brahman to be the object of the verb Jigyasa, you Advaiti, you did not accept that. But now the question is, you are saying desire to know Brahman, desire to know Brahman. Can this Brahman be known at all? Is it something which can be known? So if somebody says, I want to go to Delhi, we all know, yeah, Delhi can be reached. Somebody says, I want to go to Singapore. Yes, we know. There are packages, 4 nights, 5 days, something. It is possible. It is doable. In some offices also, people flaunt, I went to Singapore, like that. Might have not eaten anything because of lack of money, but still flaunts to colleagues, co-workers. So we know that some such thing is there. But this Brahman, we have not come across people who say that, yeah, yesterday only I realized Brahman, you know, and tomorrow I'm going to realize something else. We don't come across people like that. So whether it is even possible, whether it is something which is doable. So tat punah, oh, okay, nevertheless, or however, Brahma prasiddham aprasiddham va syat. See, Brahman should be either prasiddham, well known, popular, or it should be not well known, aprasiddham. So whether, what is it? We don't know. Whether it is well known, we don't know. Whether it is not well known, we don't know. Yadi prasiddham, if it is well known, na vijignyasitavyam, then why are you going behind that? We should know Brahman, we should know Brahman. See, Delhi, either you know Delhi or you don't know Delhi. If you know Delhi, you don't need to, I should know Delhi, I should know. Just open Google Maps, you will be, wherever you are, you will know from your location to Delhi, how much distance, etc., etc. Air, by walk also it will show. By car, everything it will show. Train, how much time, flight, everything it will show. Car. So why are you so much making halabulu? Yadi prasiddham, then na vijigyasitavyam. If it is known, then there is no need to know it. Atha aprasiddham, or if it is not known, then naiva shakyam jigyasitum. If it is not known, then who are you, brother? How are you going to know this? Nobody has known. How will you know? So there is a problem. If it is known, then no point to try to know. Why are you reinventing the wheel, so to say? And if it is not known, then how are you going to know it? What research extra have you done now that suddenly you will invent Brahman? So that is the point, is that this entire exercise is futile. This whole exercise of Athato Brahma Jigyasa doesn't make any sense, because if it is already known, go and ask the person who knows and finish. Why make such a big drama about it? And if it is not known, then there is no possibility. Then you are just telling a bunch of lies. So that is being now answered by Shankaracharya. He says, Uchyate. Yeah, I'm answering that. This is answered. Asti tavad Brahma. Of course, definitely, certainly Brahman exists. Tavad Brahma, certainly Brahman is there. Nitya Shuddha Buddha Mukta Swabhavam Sarvagyam Sarva Shakti Samanvitam. And what is its Swabhavam? What is its nature? Nitya, eternal. Shuddha, pure. Buddha, conscious. Mukta, free. So by its nature, it is eternal, it is pure, it is conscious, and it is free. And also it is Sarvagyam, omniscient, it knows everything. And Sarva Shakti Samanvitam, it has got all Shakti, all powers. Samanvitam, it possesses or it carries all powers. So definitely Brahman is there. It is not my imagination or somebody's imagination. Definitely Brahman is there. Brahma Shabdasya hi Vyutpadyamanasya Nitya Shuddhatvad Dharmaha Pratiyante. Nitya Shuddhatvad Adayo Dharmaha Pratiyante Brihate Dhatoho Artha Anugamat. So here what is Shankaracharya saying? He is just giving the etymological meaning of the word Brahma. Means word meaning, literal meaning of the word Brahma. What he says, Brahma Shabdasya, he means indeed. Indeed, of the word Brahma, Vyutpadyamanasya, when you analyze its Vyutpatti, how it is derived, or when you grammatically analyze the derivation of the word Brahman. So in most classical languages or all classical languages, Latin, Greek, Sanskrit, etc., Samskrita, every word has got a root word. That root word will be either a noun or a verb, and from that it is derived. There are some prefixes are added, some suffixes are added, and that is derived. So here also, the word, if we analyze Vyutpadya Manasya, if we analyze the Shabda, the word Brahman, if we analyze it etymologically, we analyze how it has been derived, then Nitya Shuddhatvadayo Dharmaha Pratiyante. So then all these qualities I just now described, that is Nitya Shuddha Buddha Mukta, means eternal, pure, conscious and free. Nitya Shuddhatvadayo. So the dharmaha, the qualities or properties beginning with eternality and purity, pratiyante, we can understand. It can be understood. It can be understood. How? Artha anugamat, because it will follow anugama, it will follow or confirm the meaning, the sense of brihatehe dhatoho, of the root word which is brih. So dhatu means, as I said, verbal root, verb. So brih is the root word of Brahma. So the word Brahma has come from brih. Brih means brihata, brihat. Brih means brihat. Brihat means great, vishala, great, large, a huge expense. So from the root, verbal root, dhatu means verbal root, we have the verbal root is brih. We have this word Brahman, and all this meaning of it being eternal, it being pure, it being conscious, it being free comes from this word, from this root word, and it is Artha Anugama. It follows that particular sense. It follows. Sarvasya Atmatvat. Also, Sarvasya Atmatvatcha Brahma Astitva Prasiddhihi. So you have asked this question whether Brahman is Prasiddha or Aprasiddha, means whether Brahman is known, well known, or whether it is not known. So the answer is Sarvasya Atmatvatcha, because it is the indwelling self, because it is the self of everything, everyone, every living being. Sarvasya, of all living being. It is the self. Pratyag Atman, we say. Pratyag means indwelling. Atman, self. So it is the Pratyag Atman, or indwelling self of all living beings. Brahma Astitva Prasiddhihi, the Astitva or the existence of Brahman is Prasiddhihi, well known. So let there be no doubt that the Prasiddhihi of the Brahman or existence of Brahman is well known. How is it well known? Shruti tell us. Vedas tell us. That's why we know. And also, we have, I think, already discussed it. A person since his birth or her birth till her death, that person constantly feels that I am there, I am there, I am there. It is interesting. Even a person, when they get completely their memory goes away. Some cases of, severe cases of Alzheimer, it happens. Okay. Of course, we have these cases of an accident and a person losing the memory, which we have seen more in movies. But in that case also, truly the person does not forget I. So the person is asking, who am I? How can that person remember that concept of I? Everything is forgotten, but that I concept is not forgotten. Similarly, in the case of Alzheimer's, some severe cases of Alzheimer, a person forgets forgets what is the name about oneself, everything that person forgets, but does not forget the concept of I. Ask, who am I? So it is quite a pathetic state, of course, but it happens. So through that also we can infer that there is something behind this I, which does not change. whole body changes, so many things change, our beliefs change. We keep on changing, but this I does not change. So this Astitva of Brahman is well known because it being the self of everyone. And also, Sarvo hi Atma Astitvam Pratyeti na naham asmi iti. Sarvo hi Atma Astitvam. Everybody, Atma Astitvam Pratyeti. Pratyeti means the Pratyaya, cognition or the notion is understood. So everybody cognizes or perceives. Everybody perceives what? Atma Astitvam. The existence of one's own self. Atma. Everybody perceives that. Everybody perceives one's own self. How does that person perceive that? We understand that by these type of sentences. Na aham asmi. So na naham asmi. Na naham asmi. So na naham asmi means I am not existing. Double negative. I am not existing means I exist. I am not existing means I definitely exist. Aham asmi. Na naham asmi means it is not that I don't exist. I do exist. So it's not just in a spiritual or a scriptural context that such a thing comes. Suppose there is a discussion happening in the family and a family member is not involved in the discussion. After some time, it becomes very difficult for the person to keep quiet. That person says, I also have to say something. You cannot simply discuss things about the family when a family member, me, I'm sitting here, right under my nose. This kind of discussion cannot happen. I also have 2 words to say. And so that kind of a statement can come from a child of 5 years also, because she also might have something to say. Okay. How? Because na naham asmi. It is not that I am not there. I am there. Very much I am there. So even in a context which is purely empirical, purely worldly, we constantly assert our existence. We constantly keep on asserting our existence. Where does this self-assertiveness come from? It comes from the Atman. It comes from the Atman only. We have mistaken it. We have misread it to be our body. But that is cognized. Na naham asmi. It's not that I am not there. So, iti, in this manner, sarvo hi atma astitvam pratyeti. Everybody perceives or cognizes one's existence. Everyone does that. There is no exception. Even a fool. So for that, you don't need IQ and all that. Everyone, even a person who is unfortunately suffering from some psychological or mental cognitive disorders. That person might not be able to write, read, might not be able to have even basic IQ. But even that person has this. That person cognizes one's own self. It's interesting. If you think about it, it's interesting. That person cannot cognize other things. Basic things of the world cannot understand. Some people have problems with letters. Some people have problems with spatial understanding. They cannot understand high, low, etc. One of the faculties which is affected by Alzheimer's is this. The person is affected such a serious condition, affected by Alzheimer's, will be standing in the balcony, suddenly want to walk from the balcony, will suddenly forget that the balcony is high. You cannot just walk down, you'll fall. Alzheimer's is such a horrible disease. So they forget that the knife can cut. All these things they forget, but they don't forget that they are there. Means their existence they never forget. They might forget who they are. Their name they will forget. Their wife, children, all they will forget. But they will never forget that I am there. Interesting. Very interesting. Even there are neurological disorders like one cannot recognize one's own face. There is a neurological disorder like that. One's own face one cannot recognize. But even in that case, the sense of I is very predominant. That person is saying, oh, this is not my face. Who is this? So the my face is very predominant. How is that the sense of I does not go at all? So this is very interesting. So everyone, sarvo hi atma astitvam pratyeti, everyone perceives one's existence. And that is why that person says, it's not that I'm not existing. Yadi hi na atma astitva prasiddhi syat, sarvo lokah naham asmi iti pratiyat. And if you say, yadi hi, if indeed, na atma astitva prasiddhi syat, indeed, if it were the case that there were this existence of oneself is not well known, like people did not properly know that they exist. If that were the case, sarvo loka, everyone, naham asti asmi iti pratiyat, they would have understood or they would have cognized that I don't exist. That doesn't happen. Nobody says I don't exist. Or you may, if you have read some kind of philosophy without understanding it, you may say that this body is not existing. Even after understanding, you may say this body is not existing. But there you don't say I don't exist. Nobody says I don't exist. So if truly Atma Astitva Prasiddhi na syat, if there was the existence of self, oneself, was not well known, then everyone would have said, Naham Asmi iti. Everyone would have cognized Pratiyat. Everyone would have known that I am not existing. That is not the case. Atma cha Brahma. And so Atma certainly is Brahman. Okay. So because Atma is Brahman, it is not that it is something not known. It is very much known. It is very much known, and we are not going behind something which is unknown. Then the question still is unanswered. The objection was, if it is so well known, why at all try to know it? Because it's already well known. What is the point in knowing it again? So that is the question, and that question will be again asked. The objection will be asked that if it is so well known, then why are you trying to know it? Because everyone knows it. So why are you trying to know it? And we will see the question and the answer day after tomorrow. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Shri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu. Is there any question? Anyone has any questions? So no question. Shubhadeep, any question?
Swamiji?
Yeah.
Yeah. Am I audible? This is Pinakin from Pune.
Okay, yeah, you are audible.
Yes. So I have 3 questions if time permits. The first one is this Brahma Jnana. Is it a sudden eureka moment or a gradual unfolding when it happens?
Gradual unfolding leading to a sudden eureka moment.
Okay. The second question is this sense of I. There is an echo. The sense of I that a person has versus the sense of I that a Brahmajnani has. When these two people refer to themselves as I, are they referring to different entities? For example, if I say I am referring to this body-mind complex. But when a Brahmajnani says I, is he referring to the reality all the time?
Yeah. So the source of the sense is same. An Ajnani or a person who does not know one's nature is also saying I because of Brahman, but does not know it. That person does not know that I am saying I, Aham, because of Brahman. So the focus of that person is not on Brahman, but the cause of the sense of I is Brahman.
Okay.
But in the case of a Brahmajnani, a knower of Brahman, the cause of the sense of I is also Brahman, and that person also knows that it is Brahman. Okay.
Right.
So that focus is also on Brahman.
Right.
Okay. It is like if a person does not know physics, say, that person will not know how gravitational force is operating, but will refer to the coming down of objects when they are thrown from above. Right. But a physicist will know that it is because of gravitational force.
Right.
This is the difference. Both are referring to and employing. See, many people, they don't know gravitational force, they don't know the speed, etc., acceleration, etc. They don't know that. But they will throw things from above because they're using that force. Similarly, most people, almost all of us, we use the knowledge of Brahman, but we are not aware that that is Brahman.
So, when I say I, without knowing that it is originating from the Brahman, I don't know it because it's not my experience.
When you say I, your Pinakin, Pinakin, is it? It's Pinakin.
Yes. Yes.
So when Pinakin says I, that is a confused state. You don't know what it is. You are neither ignorant nor knowledgeable. You are in between.
But I could use this as the closest formula to reach Brahman, since it is pointing in the correct direction.
Yeah,
without knowing
if you have perseverance, if you means anybody has perseverance and goes after every step, every logical step, then one will attain that source of this I sense. Otherwise not.
Right.
Otherwise, if I think I am the body and then I may get stuck up there. I may think I am the body and I will stop my inquiry there.
Right.
So it has to be taken to its next logical conclusion. How can I be the body? Body changes, body perishes. So I then will change and perish. So then I am not the body. So it has to go logically like that. Only then one will be able to attain the knowledge of Brahman.
Right. And Swamiji, my third question is, as Thakur says, and in today's discourse, Bhagavad Path Shankaracharya is also saying the same sentence verbatim, that the goal of human life is attaining Brahmajnana. So having attained this goal, what happens next to the Brahmajnani? Because he has now cracked the code. There is no adhyasa. He sees the real from unreal. And still he is operating in this illusion. Knowing very well that this is an illusion. So how does he operate?
No, that person is not operating in the illusion. Sorry.
But
everything
his body
was correct,
mind,
but that person is not under any illusion.
He is not.
No,
but
no.
So he sees it as illusion, and he's
no,
not.
He does not see it as illusion.
So what does he see? He still sees his body. He still sees other people.
Yeah, but he does not see body as body. He sees consciousness everywhere. He does not see illusion.
Okay. So
Holy Mother Sri Sarda Devi,
Yes.
Sarda Devi says, what will happen to a person who attains jnana? Will he grow two horns? So he will not. From the outside, you will feel that he is also acting same manner as you or we are, who have not attained the knowledge of Brahman. But that person sees the world to be what it really is, Brahman.
Right.
So there is let us go to our classical example. There is a person who is in darkness, mistaking the rope for a snake. Another person comes with a light or has light and sees the rope for what it is, rope. Both are seeing the same thing.
Yes.
But the vision is different.
Yes. But it is obviously difficult to understand that, because see, Mataji, for example, when she is cutting vegetables, and she sees them as vegetables, she sees them as Brahman. A knife hitting a vegetable and breaking into two pieces. It is, I mean, everything continues just as it was before in the physical world, but the realized person is seeing that too as Brahman, or he has memory of a vegetable being a vegetable, a knife being a knife, and therefore operating in that illusory world.
See, if somebody comes with a knife at you,
yeah,
what will you do?
Protect myself.
Okay, I will give you a better example. Suppose you have a friend. And somebody is trying to stab that friend in front of you. What will you do?
I will protect my friend.
Suppose your friend is an actor.
Right.
And you are watching a movie in which the friend is being stabbed. What would you do?
Enjoy the scene.
That is the difference between how a Brahmagyani and a normal person sees. So a person who has not got the knowledge of Brahman would try to protect that person.
Yes.
I'm not saying the Brahmagyani will not protect. Even if the Brahmagyani tries to protect that person, we'll see it as a part of a movie. That's all. That means protecting or not protecting that person will not in any way change the nature of any person involved. That the Brahmagyani knows.
Yes.
It is just time pass, kalakshepa.
But in this particular example that you gave, Swamiji, a scenario has been presented to the Brahmagyani, that he saw somebody stabbing somebody, and an action happened with his body of protecting him or not protecting him.
No, even Brahmagyani will protect him. Why would not?
Correct.
But will not be attached to the results.
Yes, but this
because
is a
that
reactive
does not matter.
Situation.
That's why.
This is a reactive situation. But otherwise, what remains, since the highest goal of human life has been achieved, now further, what remains as a motivation for him to even lift a finger?
That depends. The motivation means prarabdha karma. Whatever karma is left to be exhausted is only the motivation to remain.
Right.
If that is an ordinary Brahmagyani, if that person is a prophet or an incarnation like Shankaracharya, then that person has to give jnana, wisdom or knowledge to the world. So that person remains. And it's not a reactive thing. Even just remaining is also reactive. Everything is reactive. When you are in the transactional world of the senses and sense organs, everything is reactive. Even when you are in the only state which is non-reactive is deep sleep state, where you don't know, but there also ignorance is there. So ignorance is reacting with your true nature, turiya avastha. So just being born makes you into reactive state. It does not matter whether you physically do something or not. You are constantly in the reactive state. I don't know whether you understood that.
Yes.
So because you used that word, no, that was a reactive thing. Everything is reactive.
Yes.
As long as you perceive, you react. That reaction might be just a thought, but it's also reaction. Chitta vritti. That's also reaction.
Right.
Any other question?
Maharaj, where does the ignorance lie?
How can something that is not existing lie somewhere?
Is it in the mind, or is it in the like cosmic mind or individual mind? Or
No, that's what I said. It does not lie anywhere, because that which does not have an existence, how it can lie somewhere? If I say ignorance is there, that means I am positing, I am giving it a concrete reality. Ignorance is a false understanding. So it's like asking, where does the snake lie? If I ask you, Shubhadeep, that question, what will you say?
It's not there.
So that's what. Snake is not there. That's the whole point. Now, how do you say where it is lying? Inside the rope? No, it is not inside the rope. It's an illusion. It's not there. Ajnana is not there. That is why it's an amazing thing. That which is not there causing all the confusion. And if you come to think of it, that is what causes all confusion. That which is there will never cause confusion. Suppose a criminal has done some crime. That will not cause confusion. There will be some reaction. Oh, okay, I will not accept the punishment, etc. But that will go. That will simply fizzle out. Suspicion is always confusion. Why? Because you're suspecting something which is not there. So something which is not there is the problem. And that is why ignorance is the problem. Because ignorance is not there, but we are experiencing it.
But all the sadhana is there. Means we are doing all the sadhana to get rid of ignorance which is not there.
Is sadhana not ignorance?
Right. That is also in the realm of ignorance only.
Yeah, it's in the realm of ignorance. So Sri Ramakrishna says, using one thorn to remove the other thorn.
That's right.
So sadhana is also very much ignorance. That's why at the very highest state of Advaita realization, Ashtavakra Muni asks, why are you doing all this sadhana? But many people wrongly understand it. So we cannot do that. As long as we perceive this body-mind condition, we have to do sadhana.
Right.
Otherwise, it will be hypocrisy. So, is there any other question? Then we can.
Swamiji, you spoke about 6 means of valid knowledge, 6 pramanas. So, like, I have a doubt regarding, like, is Shabda Pramana only helps us to realize Brahman, or all other pramanas also are equally important for us to realize Brahman?
No Pramana helps you realizing Brahman.
But Shabda Pramana, because Shrutis have come from Shabda Pramana, so that's what I heard. So, is it the closest for us to realize Brahman? Shabda Pramana?
No Pramana will help you in realizing Brahman. Shabda Pramana, Pratyaksha Pramana, Anumana Pramana, all these Pramanas will give you an indicator that Brahman is there.
Okay.
So through Shrutis, we come to know that Brahman is there. That is what we will get. But for realizing Brahman, you have to go beyond Triputi Veda. That means you have to go beyond the process of knowledge. You have to transcend the process of knowledge. Then only you will be able to realize Brahman.
Yeah.
It's called mentation. The process of thinking, conceiving a thought is called mentation. So you have to go beyond mentation. You have to go beyond thought.
Okay. So all 6 pramanas, they use sense organs, the 6 pramanas, 2 sense organs only.
Directly
we can perceive.
or indirectly, all sense and pramanas use sense organs, directly or indirectly.
Okay.
Pratyaksha pramana directly uses sense organs. All other pramanas depend on the knowledge derived from sense organs.
What is the Shabda Pramana? Which sense organ that does Shabda Pramana use, Swamiji? In case of Shabda Pramana, is it the mind or Buddhi to which we hear the Shabda Pramana?
No, first you use your ears.
Okay.
Verbal,
Yeah.
it's quite obvious, right? You hear, only then you will get testimony. No? So then you analyze from whom have you heard. So unless you hear, how can you analyze? So first you hear, then you analyze, oh, this person said, whether that person has got enough credibility.
Because I heard that in Shabda Pramana also there are two parts, para and apara. So I'm speaking about that para. That apara knowledge is in Shabda
apara knowledge. No. Apara means you have not directly, in that context, apara means you have not directly heard. Somebody else has heard.
Okay.
Para in that context does not mean para vidya like apara vidya like this what do you call it? Knowledge of Brahman, para vidya. That is not there in Shabda Pramana.
Okay. Yeah.
So suppose you have not directly heard. For example, you never met Isaac Newton.
Yeah.
But somebody told you that this person told this, so you are all three laws of motion, you are memorizing it. So that kind of meaning comes there, para and apara. But Shabda Pramana is also, everything is empirical. These are all paroksha jnana. These are all mediate perception.
Okay.
No pramana can lead you to the knowledge of Brahman.
Okay.
Only maximum, it will give you an indication that Brahman exists. And so it can be, that's what just now Shankaracharya said, we saw that. It can be an inspiration to set on inquiry of Brahman.
Okay.
That's all. Not more than that.
Okay, Swami. Thank you so much.
So I think.
Namaste, Swamiji.
Namaste.
Namaste. I am Ramakrishna Muddepal speaking here. I have listened to some lectures by scholars belong to different philosophies that Advaita philosophy cannot explain the fact that, this ajnana is for whom? Like when you say Jivatma and Paramatma, they are one and the same. But you have answered in a way that question saying that it doesn't exist. It doesn't exist at all. But when we have to explain it in terms of Jivatma and Paramatma, I think we need to have a little deeper understanding of this question, Swamiji. That is one. And in addition to that, you said prarabdha karma. Till the prarabdha karmas are exhausted, it cannot, realization cannot happen. So
no, I did not say that. I did not say that.
Yes,
I said a person will continue to remain in the body till prarabdha karmas are exhausted. So a person who realized Brahman will continue to remain in the body till prarabdha karmas are exhausted. Realization can happen even when the prarabdha karmas are not exhausted.
Okay, when you say prarabdha karma, then it pertains to body itself.
Yes.
See, but even bodies, when you say there are different levels, like this causal body and
that's what. So prarabdha karma means that is just one small, this thing remains. It is called a burnt seed. So when a person gets realization, all the karmas, the storehouse of karmas are burnt. And no karma is remaining. So the example given is an archer is sending an arrow. One arrow has been shot already. And some arrows are there in his quiver. Okay. So which they have behind their back, inside their back. So that is there. A store of arrows. And one arrow that person has strung on the bow.
Yes.
That has not been shot. This arrow which has been strung on the bow is called agami karma. Means it will come in the next birth, fructify in the next birth. That which is in the quiver is called sanchita karma. That means which is storehouse of karma. And one has been shot already. That short arrow is called prarabdha karma. That which has already taken, started giving effect. Okay.
Okay.
So in the case of a Brahmagyani, this is one school of thought. In the case of Brahmagyani, these storehouse of karmas are destroyed, and also this what you call this karma which is just about to come in the next birth, that is the Agami karma, compared with the arrow which is strung on the bow, is also destroyed. But only the Prarabdha karma continues to take place. In several places, Shankaracharya ascribes to this view that this is what happens. So when I said a person who gets realization, for some time, that was the question, that why does that person continue in body? For some time, till this Prarabdha karma continues, that person will. So the arrow has been shot. So in this birth, whatever little karma is there, it is left, that person will remain. But that person will not incur any new karma. So such a person, if somebody goes and serves that person, that punya, or if that person does any punya karma, the person who is serving or helping that Brahmagyani will get that punya karma phala. Or if somebody is disturbing that Brahmagyani, then if the Brahmagyani happens to do something wrong by mistake or like that, that karma phala will go to that person.
Yes.
Shankaracharya talks about it in his Tattva Bodha.
Yes. Thank you, Swamiji.
And as far as your Jivatma Paramatma question is concerned, here
Yes.
because we are discussing the commentary of Shankaracharya, we are following what he is telling from Advaitic standpoint. But there can be various other methods of understanding this. Sri Ramakrishna says that all the paths are true. So the goal is to get rid of suffering. You can do it by whatever method suits you best.
Yeah, thank you, Swamiji.
Is there any other question? No question. Okay. So Smriti, we can finish, no? Can end.
Yes, Swamiji.
Okay. So namaste. Day after tomorrow we will meet again. Namaste.